afternoon, everyone. This is RAND. Welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Saturday, May 3, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. Now, once we figure out, on this journey, that we are all born with this innate ability to materialize thoughts into physical form and can improve upon this gift by learning how to harness the power of the mind. See, in mastering the mind, you master the ego. And in mastering the mind, you then, instead of the mind directing you with its thoughts, you direct the mind. That's when we become super powerful. All that is needed, and this is not easy for some people, is total surrender to the idea, feeling, and experience of what you want to manifest as if it is already here now. Instantaneous manifestation occurs when you can hold this sensation and continuously release the emotional negativity, continuously release the emotional negativity and resistance to having it be real. When there is zero resistance, total openness to the infinite possible ways it can happen, and a deep knowingness that your desired outcome has already manifested on some level for you in the here and now. Then it has to manifest for you instantly. Now, if you were to share that with anybody out there, most likely they would say to you that that is absolutely nonsense. And they would say if that was the case, then all of us would have everything we wanted, and we wouldn't have any of this worry, stress, and fear, and all this other stuff, and all these other things. Well, in some ways that's true. But in other ways, the ego mind is sitting there saying, no, come. Just stay in yesterday and tomorrow, and you'll be fine. So that it can dictate the format and the whole life cycle. How you think, what you think about, what thoughts come in, what thoughts do you give attention to, and on and on and on. And it's up to us, see, each of us, we either are going to accept it and embrace it or ignore it. There's really no in between. We accept it, embrace it, or we ignore it. And most of us, we ignore it. We don't find it very interesting at all. We think it's nonsense, and we just kind of let it pass by. And it'll come back, and it passes by. And I'm not saying that's a negative, but sooner or later, we're going to figure out that we have got to discover, while we're in these bodies, many things. Because if we don't, then we will leave the body, we will go into the light, and the process will continue in complete redundancy for eternity. How does that sound to you? You reincarnate without any thoughts, any remembrances or anything. Period. And you do it over and over again. And you can't reflect and review things from former past lives because you don't remember. And that cycle we've got as a civilization, as I've shared, there is, as we increase our vibrational frequencies, there is I shared on my call that there is it's a dormant, these are dormant frequencies that are being locked away from the civilization. Why? Because they contain the original perfected blueprint of these bodies, okay, of this particular civilization. Well, why haven't they been released? Because those that are guarding them do not care to have the civilization become aware and to know that it is them that are the power that can unlock these frequencies, which basically sets us into the divine perfection that these bodies were set to be. And through hundreds of thousands of years, or even more, we have been continually geared down, if you know what I mean. Little bit at a time. So, and then everything from one part of us to the next has been hidden or buried or disguised. So we can't correlate or connect with anything to bring back memory. And so we just keep moving forward with amnesia. We don't remember. We give it a good shot at times to say, I'd really like to know. And so you have regression therapy, which sometimes will take you into a past life. And then you could review the past life. Usually regression therapy is used when someone is having an issue in this life. Okay? Issue with anything. Could be relationships, could be it's emotional, fear, something. I use this analogy quite a bit. There was a fellow I knew a long time ago, and he would go through this covered bridge, okay? And it was a documented covered bridge in the town he was in, but it was still used, okay? So every morning he would go to work. He would drive through the covered bridge. It was fine. There's no issue. He did this. He started working at this particular place when he was 20, and he did this for well, let's just say 10 years, roughly. As he was approaching his 30th birthday, he started feeling uneasy, okay? He didn't know why. He just started feeling apprehensive, and every time he would cross that bridge, as he was approaching the bridge, he would get anxiety. And so he would keep crossing the bridge. So as he got closer and closer to his birthday, it really got bad. And almost he got to the point where he wouldn't cross that bridge. So he went and he did regression therapy, and they found out that on that bridge a long time ago, because this bridge was well over 100 years old, and of course they'd fixed it and made sure that it was safe, but he was going over the cover in a different life. He was going over that covered bridge in a horse and buggy. And as he went in to the covered part, there was some varmint or animal that spooked, because there were no lights in there, that spooked the horse. The horse got so spooked, reared up, and then knocked up the part of the bridge, the siding, off, and he fell and drowned in the river below. And this is why and he found out that's why he was so apprehensive of crossing that bridge. This happens to many of us, but we're not able to correlate it, see, because we can't reach in there. So we can't figure it out. But that's what happens. Some of the elements of past lives we carry with us unknowingly. And things like that happen. There have been many instances throughout the years where people have gone into regression therapy and found out that the reason they were having certain issues at that time was because of a past life, experience that they were carrying with them in this life. So it's like, for instance, let's say in a past life that you were malnourished, that you didn't get enough food, and so you're very thin. You were very feeble because you didn't have the energy, weak. And so then you go into this life, you become obese, and you don't know why, and you eat too much, and you don't know why. A lot of times it's been connected to a past life, and that emotion and feeling that you carried into this life, you begin to overindulge because you want to make sure that you don't become the way you were in that past life. And this is unconscious. It isn't conscious that we experience these things. So in manifestation, if you had a past life where you felt that you didn't have any power and you didn't have any insight on much at all, you felt low on yourself, your self-esteem, but you didn't know why. You had a loving family, interaction was great, growing up, but your self-esteem was just low. And come to find out, because of past lives experience, where you were treated a certain way and you began to believe that you were nothing or minuscule, and you were very heavy and hard on yourself. See, these things jump over into our current life without our knowledge, without knowing about it. So it's kind of like a bleed through where we pick these things up. And that's where regression therapy comes in. Regression therapy is basically you hypnotize someone, not quite hypnotize, but you move them into a past. They're able to see the life that, now that they're not participating in it, but they're able to see the life that they had at that time. Who they were, the being, the name, and what they did for a job and those types of things. And this helps because it's a therapy, because it's what we have to find out certain things so that we can move along, so that we aren't interrupted in this life from a past life. It's the same with anything in this life, that we can shift anything we choose. It doesn't matter what it is, but see, our trust in ourselves and our faith in ourselves and our confidence in ourselves isn't that strong. So we question a lot of things. And we're also controlled by the ego mind, and we know that, and we have been for a very long time. So the ego mind basically dictates how our life's going to be, because we give the thoughts that the ego mind generates and all the other thoughts that come in that aren't our thoughts. And then we pull them in, we give them energy, and we bring them into our reality, and we experience them. You can see how impactful and powerful it is for us to go within and to identify with ourselves of who and what we really are. And while we're doing that, we discover many things about ourselves. Some are not that great. Some of them we look at and we go, put that in a closet. But instead of putting it in a closet, we embrace it. And so we say, okay, I love every part of myself. Okay. I love every single part of myself. And mean it. Not just say it, but mean it. So then you move further inward, and you discover, especially in these meditations, where you're in a comfortable position, you don't have any outside interference, you are relaxed into the body, you are as still as a statue, and you're focused on your breath rising and falling. Just your natural breathing. And that brings you into silence. Peace, silence. You're not entertaining ego mind. You've left it. You're in the now. In these meditations, you move yourself into the now. Now, if you're not in the now, you'll know it. because you will have yesterday and tomorrow constantly agitating you. You'll know it. That'll be a giveaway. And so that helps you say, well, I'm going to move into the now. I don't care to interact with the ego mind. And through silence, you leave the ego mind alone, and you're just being. That's it. And through silence, you connect with your soul, and within the soul is the God. That's how it works. So when you meet the soul, and you interact with the soul, and you go deeper, you then discover that within the soul is the God, is the only thing that is real. Once you discover that, you begin to embrace things that you normally would never embrace. Many lifetimes. You drop your fears and your worries and your stresses and your anxieties. They just fall away. Because you've discovered that they're all being generated from an illusion called the ego mind. And you discover that the ego mind isn't satisfied. And how does that reflect? You have someone who obtains something. Doesn't have to be an animate, it can be an inanimate. And so they obtain it, and they're happy. They feel good. But it's very short. And then they're back at it trying to find something to satisfy them again. In this life, it's very powerful, this material physical world that we've created for ourselves. Because it's all about what? Well, it's through ego mind, and because of our amnesia, it's all about wanting. Isn't it? It's all about wanting certain things. And a lot of the times we get overwhelmed with wanting. And we spend our lifetimes wanting. Could be anything. Now, that's not a negative either, because there's positive there. Without our desires, we'd be bumps on a log. We have to have our desires in the material physical world. We got to have desires. It's very powerful, and it's highly motivational. See, we put these little things in there to motivate us, to move us, so that we expand ourselves beyond our own boundaries. Most of us will not expand ourselves beyond our own boundaries. We'll stay there no matter what. No matter what. No matter what the universe sends in to assist you, you will stay in those boundaries. You will not leave them. Others will say, you know what, it's time for me to move out further. Experience different things. That's what this life's about, experiencing different things. You can experience little things that you normally wouldn't experience, but just by changing things. You see, that word change scares a lot of people on this planet. It does. It scares them. They're frightened. They don't like change. And maybe you come across people that just don't care to have change. And that's not a negative either. See, negativity is how we view things from certain perspectives. Right? Obviously, bludgeoning someone is a negative. Judging someone harshly is a negative. Going down, coming down on yourself is a negative. Or when you view things, you've got two choices. You get two views. You've got a high view and you've got a low view. If you have a high view, you're looking at something and saying, this is marvelous, it's wonderful. Absolutely fantastic. Or, this sucks, this is horrible. And it depends on those frequencies on where you're going to take yourself every single time. Okay? If you get angry, frustrated, and irritated, those frequencies are going to pull you down and you're going to attract more of that. More of it, and more of it, and more of it. Some of us don't really realize it. We can't figure out why our lives are the way they are. And then we come down more on ourselves and we get more depressed and we attract more of it. And then we say to ourselves, well, this is ridiculous. When is this going to end? When you decide to change your direction. When you decide to focus on things that you want and what you don't want. It's easy to say, focus on what you want, not what you don't want. It's easy to say that. But what happens when you're in the middle of a turmoil and you feel yourself being pulled into that familiar direction of the low vibrational frequencies? Well, if you've gone within enough and spent enough time in the now, you say, I'm not going to go there. I know it's about, I know I will attract more negatives into my life, so I'm going to go over here. Now that turn you make, it may not be that easy at first because it's very new to you. We all gravitate towards what? Things we don't want. Believe it or not, that's what we gravitate. As a civilization, that's how we've been programmed. Gravitate towards things that we don't want. Pretty apparent. So you're going against it all. You're making that turn, and it is an unknown to you, but you make the turn anyway, and you say, I'm focusing on what I want. Why would I in this life focus on anything else other than what I want? See, it doesn't make any sense, does it? And we're able to differentiate that between the two directions. One, low frequency, the other high frequency. It's like when we've all done this, I know we have, in this lifetime alone. When you've helped somebody, okay, and your whole reason for helping them was because you wanted to. That was it, okay. There was not a smidgen of what's in it for me. Not even a sliver of what's in it for me. You just did it because you wanted to do it. You did it, and you had the most enlightening feeling in the center of your chest. You felt absolutely wonderful. And I bet you every one of us remember when those times were. Now, what's the difference between then you help someone because you want something? You're only helping them because you're expecting something in return. It's a different feeling, much different. But the feeling we get when we help someone without conditions, it tells us that's our natural state of being. Helping each other. We learn, see, because we're all reflections of each other. Whether we're willing to accept it or admit it either way, that's a fact. We are actually reflections of one another. You picture it out in the great expanse, you see all these reflections like glitter. And they're all little tiny mirrors. And it's all of us, and all species, and all civilizations, and all existence, and all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, forever, reflecting each other. Isn't that right? We reflect each other. So we're constantly showing each other parts of ourselves that we probably don't even know or will not embrace. That's the stuff we shove in the closet. And this is why sometimes we come across beings that irritate us, frustrate us. They're the greatest teachers. Believe it or not, they're the greatest teachers. When you get... This is interesting because, when you in a relationship, you meet somebody and you have all this commonality. Oh, you like this. We both like this. We both like this. We both like this. Now, you're not going to learn that much from that being. You will learn a lot from someone who doesn't like what you like. See? Who doesn't think the way you think. Believe it or not, that's where we learn the most. That's where our strong interaction is in relationships. But most of the time, because it's a comfort zone, we pick those that remind us of us. So we don't learn much from each other because we like everything the same, like this, like, I like that too, there's that. You learn, but nowhere near someone who is pretty much the opposite. You like steak, they're vegetarian. Right? You like to take walks, they like to run. That type of stuff. Now, when you begin to know yourself, embrace yourself, and deeply, eternally love yourself, every single aspect, every avenue, that's a high vibrational frequency. When you can look at the mirror at yourself and love yourself, that's a biggie. But if you don't like looking at yourself in the mirror, then you've got some things that you've got to tend to, because they'll carry over into the next life. And then in the next life, you'll sit there and go, what the heck? And not have any clue. So going all the way back to these codices, genetic codices, that are under lock and key, that will reset our bodies to what they were how they were originally designed. That's a biggie. One might ask, well, does that mean, okay, I've heard tell that at one time our ancestors were 55 feet tall, roughly. Would that mean that we would end up being 55 feet tall? It's a good question, isn't it? Would we literally, all of a sudden everybody's popping up to 55 feet all across the planet? No. Our genetic makeup would shift to its originality, so all of the genetic manipulations and genetic sequencing would be gone. In other words, our lifespan would be increased several times, naturally. Our health level, awareness level, strength level would all shift. Now, since we don't know what we were before all of these shenanigans of off-worlders messing with us genetically, it's kind of like a throw of the dice. So the keepers of these codices, or frequencies, however you want to label them, fear the fact that if it was, because our vibrational frequency is increasing as a people of planet Earth, right? Some areas it's real subtle, some areas it's barely legible, other areas it's very apparent. But we're choosing to increase our vibrational frequencies. Those of us who are choosing, the others are asleep. They're not going to make it in this life. They will go into other lifetimes until they get it. That's how it works. But those of us who are even talking about this in this guided meditation is super powerful, because we're acknowledging the fact that we have certain abilities that have been smudged out. Physically, mentally, emotionally, that have been smudged out, and we have no recollection of it because it's been done throughout the ages. A bit here, a bit there, a bit here, a bit there. And as we increase our vibrational frequencies, those codices are going to start activating. Now, it's not like anybody's going to know when, but it's apparent as we increase our vibrational frequencies, those of us who are aware enough to do so, by going within, it will start to open those up. They will be activated. This is what the controllers of the planet are very concerned about. Because if we find out, if we really truly discover who and what we are, then they're no more. See, the trickery, most everything is trickery. It's fooling and tricking us into believing certain things. They take that power and direct it at will on what they want to have accomplished on the planet. So they use our power against us. They use our power of manifestation against us on a continual basis. Are we aware of that? No, not really. Some are, but no significant numbers. Doesn't it make sense that you focus your energy on something. Could be anything, right? You focus this, and you manifest whatever it may be. So if you're conditioned or directed, and you believe in the credibility of certain beings, and then they continually guide you and direct you of these beliefs that this is real, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, that's going to happen. The power, they're using your power to create what they want, okay? Which is total control of the population of the planet. How do you do that? You do it by making the people believe something that isn't real, that isn't truth, right? And if you get enough of them believing that, then it's created. It's manifested. So then the people will believe that they didn't do anything. They didn't do that. That the others did it. But that's how you control a planetary population. You guide it into focusing on things that you want to enslave it with. That's how they all work on all planetary systems. Once you discover that, it's like mastering your ego mind. You begin to realize that you are the master and commander. All they were doing was directing your power to benefit them. That's it. So then you discover is that then I'm not going to allow them to use my power against me. This is everything on this planet. It is the big circle jerk. It's the catch-22. It's the merry-go-round. It is the whole shebang. That's how it's done, generation after generation. That's how they're able to control billions on the planet. They use your power against you. We join you in meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. And an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still, relaxed into your body, focused on your breath rising and falling. Every day, human suffering has become normal. This is caused by one basic thing: unconscious thought patterns and habits. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and nightfall and morning. We will return here Sunday, May 4, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, and purest of the purest purest, eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's happening within you or outside of you. Open your heart, allow the magic to flow in.